Stop.
9/11, the day never forgotten, an event that had too much conflict and is still working on a compromise. When the terrorists hit the World Trade Center, it had just started with the high cost and many lives of our Americans. These attacks happened not only in New York City, but in Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. Sadly, this act was done by Osama bin Laden and his Al-Qaeda group. It still wasn't over yet. The Afghanistan war had followed these attacks, and during the war, Osama bin Laden had been killed. It all started when the people stepped foot on a Boeing 767-200ER, Flight 11 and Flight 175, and a Boeing 757-200AA, Flight 77 and Flight 93, with no one knowing that there were terrorists boarding the planes. The people that did this were Osama bin Laden and his Al-Qaeda group. They did this because they had naive beliefs about America and wanted America to believe what they believed.
As the attacks were happening, the firefighters and the police department were rescuing people from buildings as they were burning down. They were looking in cars and searching buildings, but there was still tons of damage throughout all the places that were affected. The damage to recover costed $3 to $4.5 billion. After 9/11, other states were shocked about this event. There were protests all around New York City and the other states that were affected about how America wasn't doing enough to stop terrorism from happening. There were several different posters all around New York City, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania that said the Al-Qaeda group or Osama bin Laden were wanted, dead or alive.
George W. Bush, the president during the event of 9/11. He was the second wartime president, after Abraham Lincoln. During the event, Bush was in hiding at Emma E. Booker School in Sarasota, Florida. His experience was tough because he was very worried about the victims and what this would cost not only in money but in the devastation. He said, "I didn't have much time to think about it." And after that, Bush had tons of interviews about his thoughts of 9/11. As well deserved, the Al-Qaeda group was sentenced to death. However, they found them in 2006 in a wedding party as they were killing 70 people. After 9/11, America had enough with all the terrorism. On October 7, 2001, America embarked on the Afghanistan war. America had many allies, including Afghan United Front, British Armed Forces, etc. George W. Bush had a plan to rid Afghanistan of all Al-Qaeda terrorists, but it still wasn't over yet. They had one mission, and that was to find bin Laden and the other Al-Qaeda officials.
The debris did not go away quickly. In fact, it was not cleaned up in New York City until May in 2002. There were tons of news reporters out on the streets during 9/11 broadcasting live to show the other states what was going on so they could start to plan and help. During 9/11, there were over 6,000 people wounded and injured. The injuries included a loss of a leg, arm, eye, and other body parts. Some others got burns, cuts, and infected wounds. The hospitals were flooded with dying and injured people. 600 people were rushed to New York University Hospital. Hospital officials said the numbers will rise throughout the day. The 3,000 people that had died included the 343 firefighters, the 60 police department officers, the 8 medical officials, and the 1 patrolman from the fire department had no choice of dying because they were either going to jump off the skyscrapers, burn to death, or let the building collapse. After 9/11, there were tons of people praying on the streets and outside of hospitals for their loved ones to hopefully get better soon. There was also lots of depression all over America about the event that had just happened.
In New York City, right by the Oculus, there is a Twin Tower Memorial and a 9/11 Memorial. It is used to show all the names of the people who have died in the said event. It is a fountain with running water all over the edges. The September 11th tradition is to have a bunch of people gathered in New York City with political people, including the president. It is the one day
where the white building called the Oculus opens its rooftop for 2 hours to show the sun shining through the World Trade Center. This is important because it reminds us about the tragic event September 11th and to honor those who had fought for us and died.
Right now, America is improving their security at airports and other places by checking bags and going through a series of security tests where you have to take off certain things.